Tene Tatring Haduke Chala, Gerdo, Songo Jetipala, Tachi de some non ji de some yepale, Chiji de some corte, Sacheta. Tene non ji de some ganon, Chepa Mahayoga, Long Anu Yoga Nipote, Tachete, Jerem Zor Tempata. Tene Nipata, Sumbate, Zorem Zor Tempa, Yimbale, Zorem La, Senchi, Salon Tilela, Need number Zor Tempa Jeta. Tene Semi, here Tatanda Trumig, Jepala, Lapate, number Niapanane, Tatanda, Senchi, Senchi, Salon Tilig. Tene Zorem la Need number Long Anu Yoga Corte, Hubarella. Tatanda Hyojote, Jeju Nisumeba, Ate Yoga, Sumare. Jeju Nisumeba, Jerem Dong Zorem Nika, Lin, Deapandabo, Jerem Dong Zorem Nika, Sondun Jupatabo, Jake, Gone, Nyamsolembate, Ate Yoga, La. Tinitea, Tatanda, Jerdo, Jankama, Country Sumba, Ranjung Doji, Shaja Chimbe, Melonganon, the song na. Yiji Tawandan, Chajache, Tatang Talwa, Uma Chimbo Yang, then Kundu Dzogchen He Chate, Tihi Kundan Top, Dang Top Ho, say, Tenichitanga, Yila Sepatong Talwa Te, Tatang Talwa, Salton Sunjugatan, Chetawa Yendo, Tuji La Chipatela, Chaja Chimbo Segi Yore. Tige nelu de tatang talwa de yepatang mepeke tatang talwa ula nepeke lamtaba yinpe cherna de la tene tanda tatang talwa umachimbo ta de la umachimbo shogi yore tene ta de tsamda yomazi yenten tongchi zopa yinpe cher nandan kundu dzogchen shi jong sa ji shi kundan topa den to yo ji shi be tongchi ge Mengo Topate, Ta Chaja Chimbo, Ta Zopa Chimbo, Ticket Surdo, Travel Zeparella, Tini Teta Buga, Tawe Gugone, Ta Sengote, Sanjanelu Lata, Sanjanelu Gomne, Nyamsalem Batella, Zopa Chimbo, Ate Yoga, Sunkyo.
So this morning we talked about the secret mantra Vajrayana, and in the secret mantra Vajrayana there are the three outer classes of Tantra, the three inner classes of Tantra, and we covered the three outer classes of Tantra rather briefly. And then for the inner classes of Tantra, there is the visualizations, the visualization stage of the Mahayoga, the Mahayoga, the Anu Yoga of meditating on wind. And so there's the creation phase, which meditations, which are, there's the Mahayoga, which primarily emphasizes the creation phase, and then the completion phase is primarily emphasized in the second and third of the three inner tantras, the Anu and Ati Yoga. And so with the completion phase, there are two different parts of the completion phase. There is the completion phase with reference points and that without. And so the completion phase with reference points is the meditation upon the channels, winds, and essences, then the second, the completion phase without reference is the unelaborate activity of the yoga. And so of these two, the completion phase with references is meditating upon the channels, winds, and essences, and so emphasizing those, working with those essences, working with the winds. And this is primarily taught in the inner tantra called Anu Yoga, the second. And then, so we've come to the Ati Yoga, which, as it says here on the last paragraph of page 13, Ati Yoga, which is the without duality of creation and completion. So Ati Yoga here is the yoga that transcends the creation phase and transcends the completion phase. It is the union of these. It is the Ati, or the supreme yoga. And so, as the third Karmapa, Rangjun Dorje, said in his aspiration prayer for Mahamudra. Free from mental engagement, it is the Great Seal or Mahamudra. Free from extremes, it is the Great Middle Way. And the perfection of everything, it is the great perfection, and so may I realize the one thing that is the meaning of all. And so here, it's free of all mental engagement. Because it is free of any mental engagement, it is free of any extremes, it is the union of clarity and emptiness, it is Mahamudra. And then the way that is, the nature of that, is free of any extremes or elaborations. So that is the great middle way. Not only is it the great middle way, but all of the qualities are perfect within it. And so it is the great perfection, the Dzogchen. And so here, these are the instructions, that by knowing this one instruction, we can realize the nature of how things are. And so this is a way of teaching the essence of Mahamudra and Dzogchen together, teaching them, explaining them as being the same. It is a method of recognizing the nature of the mind, looking at the nature of the mind, practicing and meditating upon that. And so that is the great perfection, the Ati Yoga.
Tene ta tanda chaja chimbo yinna yang rong, zopa chimbo yinna yang rong, ta te la jirdo tene tanda tap chicha tang, tap chicha tablong gu namba tang, tene ta di hirab chicha trolong gu namba te namba nyi wara la, te na ne ta te la chaja chimbo gu ondo zena, 탑지차 털롱가 넘바테 다단다 살람 나루추두다 데네 대견도 발투진 콜루게 조렘 조르와이나 툭라소 바타베지나 탑지차rel라 대감들 땡요 마레라 다다 짱틀레데 대사지 템바레 데네 다 대견도 히랍지차데 간데레세나 종로 차제치 보렐라 종로 차제치 보테 다 가신 휴바견도 단다 짜와 데네 단다 짜와 다 영단이 희성든 주변내로데 제타와견도 또베 니시 제타 대단도 냠수뇽 뇽와데 냠뇽 그때네 데네데 감바데 양탁바지 정나데 랑렘지 데네 녜모 바히와다 남동ኛ 바히와 데네 조와탄데 조와토바임 베처나 데라 차자침베 네루레라 티토 돌롬 차자침베 교비와레라 다 조바침베가 온데세나 조바침볼라 데네 탑지 차조르담바데 조치 테갈게 데네 탑라테네 토바지게 탑다 데네 단다 히랍 조르담바데 까다 티치 따와세 까다 세드 예 데마니 네베 추지 야인제 네루다 다 추지 야인다 이히 성dun주베 네루데 테카르 검네 냠스뇽와데라 까다 티치게 따와승게 와레라 데네 까다 티치게 따와다 돌롬 서제침보니데 뭐 찍바 따부제 저기 와레라 데네 돌롬 털렁거 온데세나 데지 다 다시 탑만라와 요아레데 이나요 감들 서제침비 털렁땡 땡요 마레라 조바침비 털렁땡 땡요 마레 다 감들 조바침보 까다 조르 템바 까다 티치 가다와데 조르 템바레라 다데 조르 템도 될 농신 콘데제 주탐지 리바이 히절롱도 조현세 다치노와 내진지데 농스바제지 센지 되는 코로와도 냥엘린데 비추 탐지데 다 탐지 다 빼나 돈타 오므고 온데세나 랑 샘지 농차정 기레라 샘지 농차인도 샘지 내루데 리바이히 님베처나 되는 농신 콘데지 주탐지 리바이히 절롱도 조 차사 디농도 제요아 차사 디농도 제요바데 데네 다 텔라 테네 데네 조 산지된도라 ngote 산지된도 ngote네 추니게네루데 ngasom지 따위게 지생 ngasom지 따위게 지생네 디된도 감비 냥스뇽네 데네 감나 다 텔라 냠겨도 지럽 그서지 감나 다 텔라 람데 뉴로와도 람데 체버던 봐봐 임베처나 tene te tabo ta te yehi jelong to Dzogchen.
So whether we're talking about Mahamudra or talking about Dzogchen, in general we have the path of means, which primarily emphasizes means, and then there is the path of liberation, which primarily emphasizes the full knowing or intelligence, the prajna. And so in terms of Mahamudra, the path of means is the profound path of the 6 yogas. It is the completion phase of Kala Chakra, the 6 applications. So these are all the path of means. And so these are not taught here. There is some mention of the channels and winds, but they're not taught in detail here. Then the aspect of the intelligence, the aspect of the full knowing, is the path of liberation, which is Mahamudra. And so, as we explained yesterday, this in root, this is really the union of the expanse and wisdom, the way that that actually is. And so, realizing it, developing certainty in what that is like, and then on the basis of that, gaining experience, and then meditating upon that experience and proceeding down that path properly. Through doing this, we can subdue all of our afflictions and all of the wrong thoughts that we have. And so through that we can gain a taste of what it is like, gain some realization. And so that is the path of liberation of Mahamudra. In terms of the Dzogchen tradition, the path of means is the path of Tugal, or the sudden leap. And so here, that is the path. And again, it's not clearly taught here, but these are different methods of realizing things, but it's the same sort of method. So it's primarily teaching method is the practices of Tugal, or the sudden leap, and then emphasizing the full knowing and the prajna. That is the primordially pure view of treksha, the cutting through. And so when we say the primordially pure, this means that it has been there from the very beginning. From the very beginning, it has been pure. It is the Dharma nature. It is the expanse of the Dharma nature the way it is. It is the way the union of expanse and wisdom is, and practicing that directly. And so that is the primordially pure view of cutting through. And so here, this primordially pure view of cutting through and Mahamudra are the same. The essence of these two is the same. When we talk about the path of means, the two are different. They have different means. But here in this text, the path of means is not taught. Whether we're talking about the path of means for Mahamudra or the path of Dzogchen, it is not here taught. But what is taught here is the view of the primordially pure cutting through. And so the main aspect of this is that in the Atha Yoga, it asserts that all phenomena of existence and appearance, samsara and nirvana, are complete in the expanse of awareness, wisdom. So all the things that appear and exist. So the world, the environment of the world, all the sentient beings within it, everything in samsara, all of nirvana, all of these are complete within the expanse of the awareness wisdom. And so this, according to the lower philosophical schools, as we talk about all of this that appears is just the appearing aspect of the mind. And so that the nature of that mind is the awareness wisdom. And so in this way, everything is within the expanse of this awareness wisdom. It is present within, it is complete and perfect within the expanse of this awareness wisdom. And so in this way, everything is contained within it. So, because everything is contained within the expanse of awareness, wisdom, if we recognize the nature of the mind, and then through that we can gain a direct experience of what the Dharma nature is like. And then once we have that experience, we can then meditate upon that experience, and then through meditation in both the equipoise and the post-meditation, we can follow this as a fast path and as a superior path, because everything is complete within the expanse of awareness, wisdom.
Tene ta tela chuni tendam je yelam ponjur meba ta kanga ripa yi hijilong de chatsang yore la chuni tendam je nelu tela tene ya zang don do ya tang ngen don do ya kaya yo mare la teacher na no ata hemba ta tomba so kono chuku yolong de tene tanda kanga chuku ge yolong de nomtrun dabu Trungpa namtrundabu je imba kanga nonayanda, henayanda, tonayanda, ta tel cheparkedo yo mare. Tini te tsawandabu ti chuku londo, yihi je londo yo la. De lamje rolsalla, tu te sardu drupmuguba, tini lamje sardu tombo meba je. Sardu cholgi yovarevesina yo mare yene san jesen be gomba nyepe ta ti nelu te to tela ngehi tusam ga goni ngehi chena tela ngehi cheparchenji che gambe nyonsu nyona tela nyonwa cheparchenji saune ate yoga den lamje mesa taba yimbe tipa tangji jen tartu rebu tangji je kelso lam tangji je nyelam chodo jorba yimbe keji ge trovateru chu samo ta tebe kalchempore ta inju nelu tene kada triche ge tawase ta tanda sanji nelu ge tende nyambra ka patara te chongwa tegara la ko yore.
And so the nature of this, in the nature of this, there is nothing that is, when we look at the essence of it, it's not that there are things that are good, it's not that there are things that are bad. Thus, everything, as it says in the text, thus everything that appears, that is fixated upon as an appearance that is empty and so forth, wells up out of the Dharmakaya. So when anything that is there, we can't say it's good, we can't say it's bad. It all wells up out of the Dharmakaya. That means that it is like the magical play of the Dharmakaya, magical emanation of this, or the wondrous emanation of the Dharmakaya. So it's within the expanse of this. There is nothing that we can really say is an appearance that is empty or that is attached to. It all just wells up out of the Dharmakaya. The root of all of this is that it is within the expanse of the Dharmakaya, within the expanse of the wisdom. And so as it continues, it does not need to be newly established through the play of energy of the path. So it's not like it's something that isn't there and then we meditate upon the path and then it is there. It's not like that. It has always it has all been there from the very beginning. But one gains the realization that it has always been awakened. And so through studying and contemplating this, we can develop the real certainty, the wonderful certainty of this. Through experiencing it in meditation, we can develop wonderful meditation of it. Thus, Ati Yoga is like the pinnacle of the path. It is like the highest of the paths. So it is the ultimate of all vehicles, the final destination of all results, the fastest, greatest, and best of all paths, and the profound Dharma that can bestow liberation in an instant. And so here this is really presenting it very much as the view of the primordial purity of cutting through. So this is this should be understood as coming to realize what the essence of the nature of the mind is like.
Tene tate pe chepratam paparela tate la yichitang tetabu ge chudi nyepatela toa ta yichi na tate nyonsen lento ba nyonsen lento na tate la tenen debu to parela Dela roba tsikira chuni ji jendun de patati jitang zoba chimbo rete ina yung zoba chimbo la zoba chimbo sende zoba chimbo longde zoba chimbo mengok de ti ta desin rabo je namba song ye pati hindo mombo troju ye na ya sabdan jembar phina kabe me prahi na togi nawar minzeki ngāji gōmbā sāmo sōngdō sōngjurwin cān tsamle māne sō tā te kāpndala dūdū sēne tenpa yin sōngi sare.
And so this is really wonderful, it is superior, and because of this, if we believe in this, and then we can be excited about the fact that we've had the opportunity to find such Dharma, and with such excitement we'll be able to practice. And if we are practiced, we will really be able to come to a wonderful result. So the text continues. The mind succession of phenomena and posits that the play that appears outside is the ornament of the Dharma nature, and so forth. And so in the Dzogchen, there are different sections of the Dzogchen teaching. There is the mind section, there is the expanse section, and there is the section of the inseparable instructions. These three sections. And here they are presented in brief. As it says later on in the paragraph, there are these and many other elaborations, but explaining the naked profound meaning at its best without hiding anything is not pleasant to the ears of intellectuals. And the profound intent of mantra is sounded secretly, so I'm only giving brief illustrations of it. So it's teaching it very, very concisely.
Tene tati tanda Khenpo Ganshar Trungpa la tene cerdo kasin labja kyuba yendo tanda perna Trungpa ta tenju senkin tenzo la tusam nana yung pe kalchembo tene te jitang kepanjung gonda wote mayimba kepanjung tap kona mayimba nyamlin nawa la tene ichi gogi ichi chepar chenji chauna tene tela tene ichi tang ngehi sedu tate nguni rinduwa sompege ngehi chepar chenji kana tene yungi ware sena tene repeat wala tene yungi ware jipa ka repeat wala tene yungi ware ngehi chepar chenji tene tela yenje train la manjuje yenje trongdo moto ngehi tatinde song yo arela yenje train la manjo se du tate lama che gisona ne ichi ye de pe son ra boje ngara changba sona ne ichi me de pe son ra boje na te yenje train la jo parela de tab maimba pesa che la ta ka so la ichi ye de pa ngarang sen ngarang changba sona ya ichi te zang me de pan ra boje ngehi te zang me de pan ra boje na yenje train la jo pare yenje trangdo moto se na me yenda che ke cherang te mareda te maimbe junsin de resene te dendo kabo yondo kabo tende mambo hina ya ta ngarang tela to noria yo mare somne nune rikbe challa tene ngehi chi nyomling nyomala tene ngehi chi na tene ngehi te ta chu tam chi chawa nyomling chawa nda bo ji imbe cherna de si tu som ya bo na na ya pe phento chimbo yo ba chai ta tene di tendo nyomling ya bo na na ta phento chimbo yo de yo 다때 갈치와래라 대교 교국 말에 제랑 넘버 배 주게 nengan라고 다 제랑 넘버 다가세 되네 단다 제당게 트로피 지선으로 좀 많이 봐 문이 또지 세네 넘버 산지 비추에 히라 야본도 somne 대추 단도 니어 데라 투섬세 데라 냠린 낭 tende nangkin du tela tepe yaborela tene te tardo nyamle nang ju te kalchimpure tene khasin ngarang thusam te ta te tenzo lo na pe yapore si du tela te kande lo na yapore ta labro chi se khahi ge twanda bonang so na tene te la tene chitang te ge on de se na tene mendru ge korla tene tanda ngaranzo tatomo maimpe ondo se na ngira dreme ta jeje tene ta te chitanga ondo se na kunzan lam hyalung dabo tende songna yang pe pento chimbo yore la tene ta tanda yong on de se na tene oma jen da bota tene ta ripi ke darsha chi ne oma jupa da bota tende oma jupa tanda sartu jurga pa ta kama pa kuntin kuba on chu doji ke song tenzo pe ya po chiro yore ta te oma tanjurwa to oma rongji pa tene oma jen de oma rongji pa changpa mayin pa ya shozu la ya jar tene ma chema la ya jar tene ngehi jewa tene ta tanda jewa ngas le jundi drupa toni drupa dami drupa tene tela tene maomba la shozu ke menga gamba kapsala tene ti toni ti ya tola pa toba la roton te tatin be salvo shira yapo yore la tene te yendo katama tene tanda oma yentong ka tawe ka onde se na tenchu chimbo jelama tene te yendo jaung kama pa kuntin sumbi gin zebe namshi hinje pa ton himbo tempa sinkite ta chuni ge nelu dewar ki bi nimbu ge netan tenzo be salvo song yore la tene tenzo la pesha sai tenzo tene tusam na pe pento chimbo yore la tene chaja chimbo ge menga go on de se na ta tanda chitang ge ngeda janso la so pa yore te tinane chonda bo dudu nyamni debo zai debo yapate tene jamon kama pa kuntin go ba onchu do jinse be chaja chimbo te chu kun zupsu ta tene tanda tapota hinom jerge sumbe chaja chimbo nyume te ni salwa tenzo ngune te injali ga du tan dige lamdala ngarang zendu madho na mathore zendu ge ma jongware 마도 tene lam dige luni ngarang dreba mato pare senkinche do unsa mandu wa songgo ba ta tende yore la tene tenzo la tangbo tusam na tene nyamlin na tene gongdrup no ne tesam zendu chi tup na ya pe anga tangbo ta zendu chimbo si tup na hira ya bo re la tesam zendu na matup na ya ta di la pacha sangbo ya yangsi ten tepa tong mu ji na ya ten sen de ten ya ba pe kalpa sangbo ro re la ti kor de ta ten de shogi yin.
So that basically completes these instructions of Khenpo Gangshar. And so as I have explained yesterday, it's really important for us to study these philosophical schools, to study the philosophical texts and the various texts. And so when we study these texts, it is not just for the purpose of becoming learned and scholarly. That's not the only point of doing it. It's something that we also need to do it because it's helpful for our practice. And so when we read them, then we can develop a real belief. And when we have that belief, then we have that certainty. And when we have that, it is really helpful for us. And so we need this sort of certainty. But how do we develop certainty? Well, we develop the certainty through reasoning, through using inference and reasoning. Because of that, we develop. And when we have this reasoning shouldn't be something that's just, it shouldn't be reasoning that's just following, blowing with the wind, to say it, is you aren't blown there with the wind, you aren't blown away with the wind either. So to put it idiomatically in English, you're not blown there with the wind means you're not brought there by someone else. So it's not like when the Lama is talking and you're reading, you're saying, hey, yeah, that's great, that's right, it is. But when the Lama is finished and you're not reading anymore, it's like, what was that? I don't remember. How did that go? Or I don't think that really is. I don't think, I'm not sure about that. But then the Lama speaks again and says, oh yeah, that's right. Well, that's when you're just blown there by the wind. When you're guided there by someone else. And then when you're blown away by the wind, the other, when you can be easily distracted by someone else, is when someone says, that Buddhist view, that's not really how it is. These are the reasons why it's not like this. This is why it is wrong and all this. And so when someone says, you said, oh, maybe it isn't like that. It shouldn't be like that. You should be able to say, no, this is how it is. I've really thought it through thoroughly. This really is what it's like. This is the experience that I have from my practice. And so we have this. This is like the root of all the Dharma. It's having this, so that we aren't like a leaf in the wind blown hither and thither. So we need to have that good studying, and that is really beneficial to do that. And so then in addition to that, we need to have practice. And of course, there's really no need for me to talk, to say how beneficial practice is to all of you. You all have really understood the main points. You've gotten the main point of that. But when you practice, and you study about this, it's not like it should just be something that it's sort of just there. It's something you have to really do it. And so if you can study and do it well, then it will be very beneficial. And so I ask that you please do your study and your practice well. Now, over the past couple of days, I've recommended that you read a few books and that you study a few books. And so some people have said, well, what books should we read? And so in terms of the books that we should read about the subject of Ngundro, the preliminary practices. Have you got your pencils ready? For Ngundro practice, you should read, of course, for our special Kaju Ngundro, you should read The Torch of Certainty by Jamgon Kongtrul Lodro Tai. And then a general book is The Words of My Perfect Teacher by Patrul Rinpoche. So The Torch of Certainty by Jamgon Kongtrul Lodro Tai, and The Words of My Perfect Teacher by Patrul Rinpoche. Then in terms of philosophy, you should read The Ornament of the Middle Way by Shanti Rakshita with a commentary by Mipham Rinpoche. And as an aside, there are two different translations of this available. I don't know which is better. I haven't read either. But there are two translations, one available from Wisdom, I think, and one from, or is it Snowline, and one from Shambhala. So there are two translations of The Ornament of the Middle Way, both under the same title, I think. And so there is also a new version, a new translation of the 9th Karmapa Wangchuk Dorje's commentary on Entering the Middle Way, which is called A Feast for the Fortunate, published by Snow Lion. So this is also available. These are wonderful instructions. This is a great book. And so these are the presentations of the Middle Way from the point of view of the autonomist school and the consequentist school. Now, when you read The Ornament of the Middle Way in particular, this is not just the Middle Way. In the beginning, it's joined with the view of Dzogchen and Mahamudra, and in the end, it's joined with the teachings on validity or pramana. And then throughout it, there's a lot of logic that proves such things as past and future lives. There are discussion of how appearances happen, how all appearances are mind. There are discussions of how everything is emptiness. There's a good presentation of proving the selflessness of the individual. So if you study this in the future, when you read when you come to the instructions on Mahamudra and Dzogchen, it will be very helpful and very easy for you to realize that. So those two texts, The Ornament of the Middle Way and The Feast for the Fortunate, or is it called the Karmapa's Middle Way? Maybe it's called the Karmapa's Middle Way. At any rate, it's either the Feast for the Fortunate or the Karmapa's Middle Way. Those present the self-empty view, the autonomist and the consequentialist view. Then for the other empty middle way, there are many texts. In particular, there is the Supreme Continuum. I think commentary is translated under the title Buddha Nature. There are several versions of it. And then there are also the treatises by the third Karmapa, the Distinguishing Consciousnesses from Wisdom, or there's a commentary by Rinpoche on this called Distinguishing Everyday Consciousness from Primordial Wisdom, something like that, by Rinpoche, translated by Susanna Shevchik, very good. And then also his teachings on the Buddha nature. There's also a version of Rinpoche's commentary in English on that one. These are really wonderful books. They teach you what the Dharma nature is like, how they are, and so if you read them and you study them, it is really wonderful. I feel that's sort of like I'm leading an infomercial right now. I'm sorry. And then in terms of the instructions, instructions on Mahamudra, of course, there are the instructions such as the ocean of certainty and so forth. And they're wonderful instructions, but sometimes we want short and easy instructions. And so the short and easy instructions are in the 9th Karmapa's, what is it called? Oh yes, pointing out the Dharmakaya. Putting a finger on the Dharmakaya. Another wonderful one is Dapo Tashi Namjo's clarifying the natural state. And so this is a really wonderful one. It teaches, the path very clearly. And so both of these, you read these, then if you read them, then it's just a question of whether you're diligent about the path. You get this feeling, it's only a question of whether you do it or not. If you don't do it, then of course there's no hope. But you get the feeling reading like this, that if you actually do this, you will come to a good result. And so this is really helpful to follow these instructions. So if you study these and then practice them and meditate, then if you can do really wonderful, if you can have 100% diligence, if you are extremely diligent about it, that is absolutely great. But even if you can't be that diligent about it, at least you have the good imprints that you're making on yourself. And at least you're giving yourself these good imprints. If you have faith and devotion, and in the future there's no way that this is not going to produce a wonderful result. And so it's really important to read these and study them.
Tanda terin tesam shugiyan la, tenin cherdo tanda che namba chu la, te patan yichi cheparchin nyamlin na, tenin te chitang che namba pe tene nominge yul, number insigi yul cheparchin mambu yore. La tenis yarji tong bedin belumba rabo maimpa yarji tong den belumba indu nomi jesa temo tasa tene cheprachin tende kipotangsa tende mambo yorete yina ya tenzo pa yuni ta ngaranso tenjin dama tambi chula zemba de kalchewa yinson pepa de pe mesibe lo hira don dembe to nyamni tepa to mugu don dembe to cheprachin yimba Rela, Tetom de Mazi, Tatanda Perna, Yarjito Dembelumba La Pe, Leka, Nengo Chembo, Kal Chembo, Yuyatani Mepata, Tende Yorete, Yena Tenzo Pake Chunchunse, Tambichu, Nia, Tambichu, Driade, Pe, Kal Chembo Nane, Tenechu La Tepatom, Vijay Pate Pe, Tujichi, Hujurela, Teni, Drink Tesom Shugi.
So you all have come here and you've come to these Dharma teachings and you have a lot of faith and devotion. This is wonderful. You've come here to practice the Dharma. And so this is really, really wonderful that you've come here because we're in a developed country. And in developed countries, there are lots of distracting things. There are many wonderful things that can distract you. It's not like we're in some poor, underdeveloped country where there's nothing to distract you from practice. We're in a very developed country. And here there are lots of nice shows, amusement parks, things to go, things to see, movies, restaurants, everything to go and get distracted with. But you have put them all aside and you have come to what really can give true lasting meaning to life, the genuine Dharma. This is really a sign that you are intelligent. It's a intelligence. It's a sign of your faith in the Dharma. Not only that, in developed countries such as this, we have a lot of work, and that is important work that has real benefits. It is important. You can't, and often it really depends upon you. It's hard to put aside. But you have said that it is not as important. You have come here to practice the Dharma, to study the Dharma. You've made that most important. This is a sign of your real faith and devotion. And so I would like to thank you very much for all that. That's enough for today.
Yeah.
Oh.
Page 4. Okay, are the people who are offering the body, speech, and mind, please come forward.
Rinpoche, for all of us, I just wanted to thank you for coming here. I know it was a long way just to come to America. And then also you had to come all the way up here to Maine, which is another long way. It's very difficult, but I wanted to just thank you for all of us for coming so many years and teaching us. It's very special for us, and we appreciate it very much. And I've heard rumors that you may not be traveling as much in the future, and I don't blame you. You've traveled so much around the world, but if you do travel a little bit in the future, I just want you to know that we would love to have you come back at any time in the future. Thank you so much for teaching us. And this is from the Sangha. And from all the participants here. And Chopo, thank you. I know you traveled so much too, and you work very hard. And I'd also like to thank you for the translations of Rinpoche's work that are starting to show up. I know you've done a lot of work, and that you're working on that all the time, and it's a great benefit for us. So thank you very, very much. And I've also heard that some people here are supplicating that in their next life they'll have a voice like yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tukudamchu, thank you so much for coming. And I've seen how you work and train and study with Rinpoche. So you're learning his Dharma, you're learning from a great teacher, so that's really appreciated. I know you've worked hard, and you've helped us. You've talked to many of the students in our Sangha. So thank you very much for coming, and we hope you come in the future. And Khenpo Chigme, we didn't see very much of you, but I know you're holding Rinpoche's seat in Crestone, and there's lots of construction going. And it was, I've been there to see you there, so thank you so much for coming also. And Lobsang and Nima, I can't see you, but I wanted to thank you for basically attending Rinpoche and enabling him to travel literally around the world, in and out of airports and driving, and you handle so much. I've watched you do it. So thank you both very much for all of your work and attendance that enables Rinpoche to come and teach for us. And lots of people have come up to me and thanked me for this retreat. It was a very strong retreat. But actually, and I say, oh, you're welcome, but actually I wanted to thank some of the people that made this happen, because it really was a lot of people. First of all, my wife, who really works harder than everybody, to a point that I think it's probably more stressful for her. It's all the little hundreds of endless loose ends. She was a manager at a business once, so she knows how to do it, but it doesn't mean it's particularly fun. So thank you very much, Jane. Sheila and Phil, I think most of you have dealt with for registration. Maybe you could stand up as I call your names. And Phil, thank you also for, you're just always there whenever I need something, so thank you for all of your work. One of the things too that's really nice, and Jane and I were talking about it, is there's two sanghas in Maine. There's the Portland Sangha and our Sangha in Ellsworth, and they really work well together. I mean, it's kind of like seamless. So it's very nice to have that situation. So maybe I'd like to particularly thank Kiki, Gina, Peter, and Kate, but maybe the whole Sangha should be thanked. And thank you for being so easy. Could you four stand up? Kiki, Gina, Peter, and Kate. Regine and David Whittlesey are not here, but they offered Rinpoche their house, and that's where he's been staying. So we can thank them. And on sound, Pat Lee and Peter Comas. And Pat with Vajra Echoes, thank you. Particularly, you make not just Rinpoche's, but many teachers' teachings available. We've used them in our Sangha. The DVDs are really incredible. They're like having the teacher right there. So thank you so much for that. There's lots of people that's sort of behind the scenes, cooking, serving Rinpoche. Sheila, Kathy Leahy, Joan Kimball, Nancy Phillips. Are you all here? Maybe you could stand up. We had beautiful flowers. Doug Cowan was here for quite a while. Jane Robinson, he had to leave. He's not here. Jane took over. Could you stand up, Jane, wherever you are? Thank you. All the discussion group leaders, somebody said to me recently that of all the retreats, they kept hearing that these were the greatest discussions. So please stand up, discussion group leaders. And thank you very much. And lastly, I'd like to thank all of us, which always sounds a little odd, but there would be no retreat without us. Most of you have come here many years, so there's kind of a continuum. I would do a retreat with you anywhere, So if there is another one, please come back. Thank you for your discipline. Thank us.
Chögyam Thank Jole, Nanja,
to